All right, Canty, starting fast is one thing, but what do Dak and this Dallas offense need to do to come out with a win over Philly on Sunday?
Well, they got to run the football, and I know we talk about that all the time with the Dallas Cowboys, but if you look at the Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott era of Dallas Cowboys football, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles 4 of the last 6 times they've played them. And in those 2 losses that they have, that was the lowest rushing output of any of those games that the Cowboys have gone against the Eagles. So,
of course, real quick, those were the 2 games Zeke didn't play.
Exactly.
They're undefeated against Philly when Zeke plays.
When Zeke plays, exactly. So, I mean, and also the Tyron Smith injury, him coming back to practice, La'el Collins coming back to practice. They should be able to get that back on track. That would be the hope if you're Jason Garrett. But in taking a big picture look at this thing, the way that these 2 teams looked on Sunday, it has to be alarming for both coaches. But the way that the players reacted to each coach is completely different. When you saw the way that the players from the Dallas Cowboys reacted to Jason Garrett coming back to the sideline in that New York Jets game in the second half, he was going to shake hands with his players, and those guys were having no parts of it. And then you look at the other side of that coin with Doug Peterson. You heard what he said earlier this week with the quasi-guarantee saying we're going to go down to Dallas and we're going to get a win. I mean, between the 2 coaches, you would have to say that Doug Peterson has a better feel, a better pulse for his team. And the fact that he came out and said that, he knows what his team needs. They need to instill a little bit of confidence in that group. It just feels like the Philadelphia Eagles are a group that's going to bounce back more likely than the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I'm looking for in this game. Which team is going to come out and play with the energy early? We talk about the scoring output in the first quarter. Both of these offenses are at the bottom of the league in that, but it's more about the overall energy that you play with. You got to set the tone for division games, and I just feel like with where the Philadelphia Eagles are at right now, they have a better chance of doing that in this game than the Cowboys.
I'm going to tell you, bro, I watch a lot of stuff when watching video. And as football players, your eyes sometimes are captivated by a certain thing. You talking about that handshake and everything, that's something I miss. That's next level observant stuff. Those kind of things are real. Very few times people are able to point that out. Now, that's something that I have to watch moving forward. For Dallas to be successful, Nick has the numbers as far as Ezekiel Elliott, when he plays, yards, all that. But what they have to do for the Dallas Cowboys, they have to avoid the situation they were in with the Jets. We know that there's wholesale changes on the offense, not only on the offensive line, they might be there, their wide receivers might be there. But at the end of the Jets game, they had a 2-point conversion to be able to tie this game up. They had Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. They motioned him out to the left. They have Jason Witten in a flex tight end spot, means he's going to be 3 to 5 yards from the tackle. They had Tavon Austin in the slot. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's the worst receiving core of anyone in the NFL as far as I got 3 options, and those are my 3 options. I got a 1,400-yard running back running a choice route in the slot. I got Jason Witten fresh out of retirement, out of the TV booth, and it wasn't because they was loving him on TV. Tavon Austin has been everything but a wide receiver. So they're going to have to run the ball because you cannot depend on the skill set of those guys to get open on a regular basis. That Jets game and how they called that to try to convert to get that tie there, Kellen Moore, yes, he should be responsible because one thing they tell us in the league, know your personnel. And you cannot know your personnel and call that type of play.
Well, how about this? Also, know your opposition. Know that the defensive coordinator for the Jets is Greg Williams, and his got to have it play is I'm sending the heat.
Yeah, he's got money on it.
Right.
He's got a bounty on it.
Sure.
Yes.
And so there's 2 points here. One is I want people to understand the play you're talking about, the moment you're talking about, I should say. The Cowboys are trying to come back. The defense has just forced a stop. They are actually, the defense in the second half of the Jets game, you remember, held them to 3 points. Defense played well. And Jason Garrett is doing his traditional thing, clapping and walking onto the field, trying to shake hands. And 3 separate Cowboys. I didn't see it live, but I saw the clip on Twitter afterwards. Just walk right past.
And that's on purpose.
And it was like what the Lakers do to Josh Hart as a joke, or what they did last year, where nobody will give him 5s. But it was odd, especially because it's one thing if that was the offense. The offense has done nothing. They go 3 and out. You're trying to be positive, and the offense down on themselves. But the defense has just done its job. The defense should be, they're still in the game, at least a little fired up, and they still said, man, miss me with that, essentially. Now, to the Cowboys, what they need to do this week. The problem for the Dallas Cowboys last year, pre-Amari Cooper, post-Amari Cooper, good Dak, bad Dak, all year long was the red zone. They were an abysmal red zone team, and they were one of the very worst in the league, I think bottom 2 inside the 10 and the worst inside the 5. Just as the field got shorter, their success got lower. That's the difference between the winning streak and losing streak. In the winning streak, yeah, I know competition's different as well. They had 11 red zone drives. They scored touchdowns on 9 of them. To 82%. In the losing streak, they've had 9 red zone drives. They scored touchdowns on 4 of them. In the Jets game, they have a 1st and goal. They're inside the 5. They get stuffed on the 4th down play. A couple drives later, they have another 1st and goal. They're stuffed, and they end up kicking, I think, a 28-yard field goal. Similarly, the 2-point conversion. That's a red zone play. Yes, that is the definition of a red zone play. It just doesn't show up in the stats, and you throw to Jason Witten. They have to convert 3s into 7, which they have struggled with mightily during this losing streak.
Canty, big picture, do you believe the winner of this game will have a stranglehold on the NFC East?
Well, whoever wins this game changes the conversation surrounding their season. Yes, I do believe that the NFC East will come down to these 2 teams, and so having the head-to-head tiebreaker is going to be significant, especially when we get to the last month of the season, because I do believe that it's going to be a closely contested division race. But ultimately, it's about being able to execute in the critical moments of the game. And to Nick's point about the situations that popped out for the Cowboys in that Jets game, I mean, if you look at what that Jets defense did to that Cowboys offense in those moments, it almost looked like they knew exactly what was coming. On the quarterback sweep in the first half, the Jets defense knew what was coming. Jamal Adams went as far as to say he knew on the 2-point play they were going to Jason Witten. So if you're a player on that Dallas Cowboys team and you hear the opposing team talking about the predictability of your offense, then that has to be frustrating, because as a player, all you want your coaching staff to do is give you the answers to the test. Tell me exactly what I need to do to go out here and have success on Sunday.
Right.
But when the other team has the same cheat sheet that you gave me, when the other team sees the tendencies and knows that you don't break them, that becomes a problem. And ultimately, that message from Jason Garrett has the potential to ring hollow if they don't have more success on the field.
And Jason Garrett has to overcome. He has more inexperience at the offensive coordinator and the quarterback spot. Several weeks ago, New Orleans said they stole the signals because he was doing the same signals, Kellen Moore, of what they were doing at Boise. And then now you're talking about the Jets. They knew exactly what they're going to do. So you got a lot of inexperience, and it's starting to click out. You can't play Miami every week. You can't play the Giants with a backup every week. Washington with problems every week. You got to play legitimate teams, and in that, Kellen Moore and this offense has struggled.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.